NFTs, blockchain, and gaming. How is this connected? Why is everyone implementing this? Should you care? And is it a scam? In this video, I will be going through everything. I will be going from first, what is a blockchain, what is an NFT, and how those NFTs can be utilized in gaming itself. And that's why you have companies, for example, now like Ubisoft, going with Ubisoft Quartz, which are basically NFTs in forms of items from their games. And also you had the Stalker 2 developer, GSC Game World, who wanted to do an NFT auction in January of 2022, but they later cancelled it due to huge backlash. And there is this whole backlash which I want to talk about because, as I said, ever since I started doing videos about, those NFTs, people in the comments were asking like, what is it? Like, is this really a scam? What is going on? So obviously in this video I will present you with all of the pros and all of the cons, and you make your own decision at the end of the day. So let's begin. First off, what is a blockchain? Everything has to be set on a blockchain when it comes to this. So blockchain is a system of recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. A blockchain is essentially a digital ledger of transactions that is duplicated and distributed across the entire network of computer systems on a blockchain, usually in a peer-to-peer network such as Bitcoin. That's why you have those mining facilities and mining rigs, which basically serve the purpose of securing the network and basically processing those transactions. And in the end, the bigger the computing power, the more you can actually process, and that means the reward is going to be more consistent, and those rewards are in the form of Bitcoin or blocks which you get back. That's how miners are basically paid for their services of securing the network and processing those transactions. Now that's proof of work system. You have also proof of stake, which is something that Ethereum is switching to, because initially Ethereum is also proof of work, which means you need to have huge computing power to process that, which also means drawing more electricity, and that's all of this environmental stuff which people are going into. But you also have proof of stake, which is basically serving as protecting the network through different nodes which are running through people staking their coin and ultimately getting the rewards back, which basically serves as a way of creating one treasury in a sense. But it's not really connected to what I'm about to talk about, so I won't go too far into it. Now, I found a really nice image which kind of presents perfectly what a DLT is, or distributed ledger technology, meaning that, whole blockchain technology, and it has a couple of things to think about. First off, a blockchain is programmable. That means you can actually program the blockchain itself to create, for example, smart contracts. And smart contracts are basically programs stored on a blockchain that run when predetermined conditions are met. That's why Ethereum is very popular, because Ethereum was the first crypto to actually have smart contracts, or which to have programmable blockchain, which allows people to create various different projects and tokens which can have different uses across everything, and which can also supplement the main Ethereum blockchain. But nevertheless, it can be secure, which means that all records are individually encrypted when it comes to transactions. It's anonymous. The identity of participants is either anonymous or under pseudonyms. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that crypto is not really that anonymous. You still have record of every transaction. You can find every single wallet on the chain from anyone. If someone has Bitcoin, their wallet, their information is on the chain. You can find it if you know the wallet itself. That means, like, for example, if you have 1,000 Bitcoin in your wallet, someone is able to see that. Now, at the end of the day, they won't know who it is. You don't have your name there. But at the end of the day, it's not really that anonymous, unless you're using Monero, for example, which uses a different technology, and that is kind of encrypted. But everything else, you can find the history of transactions on a chain. Don't fool yourself. It's unanimous, basically meaning that all network participants agree to validity of each of the records. That means that, for example, once you send someone a transaction, it has to be verified in order to say, oh yeah, Alice sent Bob $100. So there is actually like this consensus of 6, I'd say in a simplest of terms, 6 people saying yes, Alice did send $100 to Bob. And by actually confirming those 6 people, in a sense, you're able to present, yes, Alice indeed sent $100 to Bob, and the transaction is now finished. It's also distributed, basically meaning that all network participants have a copy of the ledger for complete transparency, meaning you have all of the information out there about each and every single transaction since the blockchain started working. It's also mutable, meaning that all validated records are reversible and cannot be changed. So you cannot, like, for example, if Alice sends Bob $100, she won't be able to say later, oh, I sent Bob $150, he can return those $50 back. Because we have a record that Alice indeed sent Bob only $100 and not 150. Because it's also timestamp. All transactions are timestamped and recorded on a block itself. So what is an NFT in all of this? Well, NFT, known as non-fungible token, and non-fungible means it cannot be changed. So once the token is created, it basically stays like that forever. Now, NFTs in general can be used as a digital token of ownership. That's the best way to explain it. The NFT token is basically like a proof that you own something. So for example, I have an image, which is the most popular things now, those monkey images. So I create an image, I draw something, I do whatever. I go to a certain chain, like for example, I can go to Ethereum and I can mint that using Ethereum and put it into the blockchain and create this non-fungible token. By doing this, I have put my image onto the blockchain. Currently, it's worth nothing. So now, if it's actually valuable and if people like it, you will offer it on an auction house. And people are going to be bidding on who is going to get that. So once someone actually wins the auction offer, this token, imagine it like whatever, like a phone. You give that to someone and now that someone has this digital token. This means that you gave your ownership to someone else. So now someone else has basically like the rights to do whatever they want with that image. They can transfer it to someone else, sell it, use it, whatever. And listen, NFTs are much more than that. For example, it can be anything. It can even be a video game. So for example, let's say there is a blockchain version of Steam, and on that Steam you have a game. And that game is, you are the owner of it, you paid money for it, and you have a token of actually owning that game. So for example, what if you had your friends who want to buy that game from you? So you can basically take this token of ownership and give it or sell it to your friend, meaning that your token of ownership now belongs to him. And he can use that and utilize that however that person wants. Now, as I said, NFTs are not just images. NFTs can be anything. They can be whole programs which you can mint and sell to someone and give back to someone. It's basically metadata which is imprinted onto that non-fungible token. So now you have companies like Ubisoft who said, this is interesting, we can use these NFTs in our games, which also correlates with the idea of basically having, which is something besides Ubisoft, is actually having community-driven economy. So for example, you are playing an MMO on a blockchain and you find a certain sword. This sword, it does 200 damage, it's amazing, it's great, but you don't want it, you want to sell it to someone else. So this sword itself has certain value, this value can be agreed upon many things, and that's this idea of digital scarcity, which is NFTs aiming to kind of fill in that role. Like, what is digital scarcity? Like, a scarcity of an image? Like, what's going on? So basically, go back. You have this sword, does 200 damage, you put it, let's say, in a marketplace, and people can bid for it, and the person who buys that sword now owns that sword, and they can equip that sword and use it in that game. But also if they want to sell it again, they can sell it to someone else. Now, depending on an NFT, depending on this quality of that item, obviously the price can go up. That means like some images, for example, like some of those monkey images which are super rare, they can go for thousands and millions of dollars, while you have some which are not rare, which go for a few bucks. There is also a way to cheat that. Basically, I can mint an image, sell it to myself, and increase the value of it. I can pay $1,000 worth of Ethereum to buy out the image, let's say this NFT, from me, and ultimately the value of that NFT is $1,000. So someone browsing can see like, oh man, this is worth $1,000, I'm gonna buy it, maybe it's gonna rise in value in the future. There you go, I just made $1,000 off of you, even more, because this item is not really worth anything, but I made you think it's worth something. So once you have these companies go into it, this idea of player-driven economy and actually making money through playing video games in those forms of NFTs, because you will be able to sell it, because technically no one controls it. You don't have a single publisher, like let's say you're playing World of Warcraft, Blizzard cannot control if you sell this item to someone. In World of Warcraft they can, because they're that central power, but in a blockchain games it cannot happen, because it's basically everywhere. It's basically this decentralized way of doing things. And now companies, they see that, oh yeah, NFTs are making a lot of money, and they don't really care about this whole player-driven economy and what NFTs and this idea of play to earn money is, and they centralize it. They take it and they say, listen, we're gonna be making some NFTs in the forms of items you will be able to own in the video game if you own that NFT, and we will be able to sell it for a lot of money. And technically they don't have to care how much is that item worth in the future, because they already sold it, they already got the cash in, and they don't have to worry about all of that. And now people are worried. So how is actually this going to be useful in the future? What raises the value of this? Like for example, these items in Ubisoft games. What happens when those games become mundane and useless? Automatically the value of those NFTs go down, because in order to something to maintain or keep the value, there has to be some use for it. Any use for it. And that's the problem with a lot of NFTs right now. They're made, they're minted only because people want to make money off of them. They don't care about how much value this actually has and how is this actually going to be useful in the future. And because of that, the whole NFT market is basically now in a big negative, because when you mention it, people don't like it. They think of it as scammy, and they think of it as very bad, which in a sense it became. NFT as technology can be very interesting and utilized in many different shapes and forms and sizes, which can actually be useful, but sadly this entire industry and this entire market is filled with individuals and companies which are basically using NFTs to make as much money as possible, to scam people, and ultimately not to extend the technology. Because for all of those people who are NFT fans who attack people who are not, you have to understand, in order to attract more people to NFTs, you have to get rid of the bad actors. You have to call out the bad actors in the industry, because the moment you don't do that, they're going to overrun your industry and you're gonna have a despise towards it. And all of this is connected to the Metaverse, which is a word which is used a lot today. Metaverse. What is Metaverse? So Metaverse is supposed to be this alternate reality thing where it's gonna be like a second life thing. And in that Metaverse, you will be able to get different, let's say, items, and they can be done through NFTs, through the digital ownership token. So for example, you find a shirt in that, you'll be able to give it to someone else or sell it in that sense. So that's basically this player-driven economy that people want. But ultimately, because those metaverses are made with Facebooks and Googles and all of those companies, it's gonna be the opposite of decentralized. They're basically aiming to centralize that as much as possible. So again, the initial idea of what is supposed to be is completely wrong. That can also correlate with certain projects, like for example Decentraland, which offers a land that you can buy for real money, and on that land you can build whatever you want. You can build a casino which people can go into and gamble with real money. You can make different games, theme parks that people can pay to go into. You know, it's very early to talk about this, but that's this whole Second Life metaverse thing, and obviously in that metaverse there has to be some form of economy and trade, and NFTs can be done, and you know, that can be done through NFTs in a sense. But nevertheless, when it comes to this whole NFTs, it's just basically a digital token of ownership, and it's being used by all of these companies now to make milk as much money as possible, because they think it's like a fling which is going to pass. And ultimately they're not helping technology move forward. They're not doing anything which is going to ultimately say like, okay, NFTs, maybe give them a chance. Because right now with all of these scammers going around, it's just impossible. And actually like they just ruined the whole technology behind it, because blockchain is much more than crypto coins. It's much more than Binance. It's much more than, oh no, my crypto is dying. When it comes to gaming right now, companies are just doing it to get the money out. There is no technology involved behind this, there is no love behind it, and basically what they're doing is that they're taking the initial idea of creating something for the people which people can use to trade, and making it more centralized, and basically trying to draw out as much money as possible from it. So right now, when it comes to these Ubisofts doing their own NFTs, I will stay away from it, and I will never support this, because I know the reason behind it is only money and not technology. So as I said, blockchain, NFTs in general, they have a lot of good things, they have a lot of bad things. They have a lot of bad actors, they have a good actors. And it's important to know what something is before making that decision. So hopefully I was able to kind of help you with this, and hopefully you're able to now understand what is going on, and how can you actually like understand this when someone talks about NFTs. If you have any questions, drop them down below. I will try to answer as much as I can. And also don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Discord. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button for more. Again, this is LKM signing out. Stay classy everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. And one more thing for the end, huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for all of the support in 2021. It's amazing, and thank you so much. Because of you, I was able to be more lenient with the channel, and yeah, thank you again.